up, party people, and welcome back to the Polycast. I'm your host, me, Paula, and I'm so happy to be here with y'all today. I want to just say we have a great podcast for you. We're talking all things comedy, okay? I'm going to tell you some of my worst comedy show bombs. We're going to tell top 5 favorite comedians, and y'all, I had the craziest comedy weekend, and I want to share all about it with you guys. So please tune in. It's going to be super fun. Welcome to the Polycast. Starring me, Paula Kushensky. Alright guys, I do just want to make mention that we are in another space. And I'm gonna pick one. I promise you I'm gonna pick one. I really like this space. It's all in the same building, so I'm just hanging out in different parts of my apartment building. But what do y'all think of this? I like it. Professional, fun, we had a nice table, got some pictures in the back. So thank you so much for your patience with me as I try to figure out the perfect space to bring you this amazing show. Let's get into it. All right, we're going to start by talking all about this last weekend because me and John had a really kicking weekend. Kicking it right in the butt. This weekend was so fun, and I want to tell you all about it. So, okay, Thursday, we had both an audition for a Netflix opportunity at Zany's Comedy Club, and it was so fun. We both got to perform. I did the 8 o'clock show, John did the 10 p.m. show, and y'all, I feel like everybody did well. Like, I don't feel like there were any comedians that just really did poorly. I felt like so proud and excited to be representing like one of the Nashville comedians in the audition. And so anyway, I want to tell you about my show first. So mine was at 8, and it was mostly Atlanta comics, which was so fun because me and John went to Atlanta in the fall for their festival, for shout out Laughing Skull Comedy Festival. Pretty fun. So we had my show Thursday at 8 o'clock, and I just got to see a lot of people that I had saw on that festival and meet new people. It was kind of like when like you travel with another school for something, or it reminded me of choir ABC when you would go to this random college and you would see all the other schools. So that was really fun, and the green room was full. It was popping. It was hot, temperature wise. Also, it was just cool time. I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, that one was really fun, and I really feel good about my set. I don't have any negative feelings about it. Yeah, it was just a really good set. Oh yeah, and the guy from Netflix who came was so nice. Some people I feel like, industry can be a little bit reserved, which I totally understand. But he was so nice, came back, seemed to introduce himself to the comedians afterwards. So that was really fun. I did accidentally think he was a comedian and told him good set. And then I asked him what show he was on, and then he wasn't a comedian. So that was embarrassing. But yeah, it was fun. And then 10 o'clock, John had the 10 o'clock show. And y'all, those 10 o'clock shows can be, I feel like, a hit or miss because you either have people that are too drunk or they're too tired. And so, but that 10 o'clock show, this is a sweet spot. People were happy and lively and excited, but they weren't too excited, So that was awesome. And yeah, we had 5 minutes, which is that's short for just in general. That's short in comedy, and then that's short for what we're used to. I feel like most showcases are 8 minutes. So to have a 5 minute set was definitely a little bit tight, but actually I think it worked out really well because I basically did a little bit of a shortened version of an 8-minute set. I cut some pieces from it, but then mostly that 5 minutes, it just forces you to like tighten up, like squeeze those butt cheeks. But for comedy, squeeze your comedy butt cheek muscles and just rapid fire those jokes. So yeah, I was really happy with it. John did amazing too. One of my favorite parts about watching John do comedy is he's, doing comedy and everyone's laughing, and then all of a sudden he whips out the yo-yo. And it's like, it's so cool because everybody's like, we were not expecting this, because they're there for comedy. They don't think they're going to get, a world champion yo yo show. So then he's like doing his little tricks, and it's very fun. And I feel like people are either really loud and rowdy about it, like they're like, yeah, they're cheering. But sometimes you'll get an audience that is like so taken aback because it's just such a random insanely cool talent that like you'll just have like stunned silence. And then and then when you have that, I like to get in there with a woo woo. I want everyone to know that I think that guy is something. So I like to I like to woo when everyone's quiet. Um, it was pretty fun because I got to sit in the audience for John's show, and so when they announced him, and it was like, everyone was cheering. I was definitely cheering louder than everyone else because I am more passionate than everybody else. And but nobody knew we were like married or whatever, so I just looked like I was really obsessed. Which like is fine with me. Um, but there was like a girl behind me that like gave me a little look. It was like, wow, you really like this comedian. So, and I do. 10 out of 10. I would recommend. But also, I guess I wouldn't recommend because I don't want him to, I don't want him to date anyone else. I don't want him to marry anyone else. But I'd recommend him for other things like business or friendship. So, anyway, that show was awesome. Okay, then fast forward Friday, Saturday night, John and I are in Marietta, Georgia for the Honest Fox comedy tapings, and that was just so much fun too. Like, first of all, Marietta is the cutest little town. Had such a cute little, like, so many places to eat, so many cute little shops. The Hilton that we stayed in, super nice, very, like, probably the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in. My one problem is that I did not realize that very fancy restaurants have, or very fancy hotels, don't have a free continental breakfast. So that was disappointing. I'm going to be honest with you. If you don't have a free continental breakfast or a hot tub, I don't care if your floors are solid gold. It means nothing to me. But it was good. It was a great hotel. Um, I worked out both days at the hotel, which I've literally never done in my life. And yes, I did feel better than everyone else. So that was pretty cool. But okay, we're getting hung up on the hotel. The shows were great. So, oh, really quick, shout out to Marietta Eye Doctor because had to go see one of those, and that was confusing because they're like, you don't live here. I'm like, I live in Nashville, and they're like, all right, well, why don't you go see your Nashville eye doctor? And I was like, well, my eye doctor's in North Dakota, and they're like, when did North Dakota come into the picture? It was a little confusing, but she was really great, and they helped me out, so shout out Marietta Eye Hospital, Eye Clinic. I think it's actually called Eye Clinic. Anyway, okay, so we get to the shows. And John had the first two shows on Friday. So there were two shows Friday, two shows Saturday. He had the two on Friday. He did amazing, as per usual. Everyone on his lineup did really well. I was really impressed, and it felt really exciting to like be with these other comics. Most of which I honestly didn't even know. I mean, we had a few that we knew, but a lot of them were like from LA or for Chicago, or I think there was maybe some from Florida, maybe. Anyway, they were super nice. So we get to go to the green room, and Honest Fox, they have a kicking green room. and they got this big charcuterie board, and I try to hide it, but I ate so much of the charcuterie board because we didn't eat dinner because I didn't plan it out well. So then, okay, so it wasn't my show. So while John did his performance, I just sat and like ate what I felt was like an entire charcuterie board. But it was good. Okay, so then that was Friday night, and the audience was great. Y'all were so fun and nice, and I felt like for the second show, I sat in the audience for a part of it. And shout out to our friend Christy, who has this really fun like 90s Instagram. She was there, and she brought like her whole family, and so we all got to meet them, and that was really fun. Um, and the guys who run Honest Fox, their names are Jared and Aaron. Y'all, they are the sweetest. They are so nice. And they look all like professional and fancy because they walk around with their like little headsets. And I was just like, I don't know, felt like kind of felt like a movie when everyone's walking around with their headsets and they're like, we're gonna be ready in 5 minutes. And I was like, this is the big time. So that was really fun Friday night. Saturday, morning, went to the eye doctor. Saturday afternoon, we were going to sightsee, but we ended up being out super late. So we came back from the eye doctor and we just took a nap. Um, so we didn't even really get to see that much of Marietta, but what I saw, I loved. So we'll have to come back. Okay, Saturday night were my shows, and y'all, they were unbelievable. Like the audience, both audiences were like so sweet. I wanted to like hug everybody. I wanted to like grab everybody's face, and I was so excited. The first show I thought went really well. But like, if you've ever done a taping, you know that the first taping is a little stressful. It's a little stressy, The vibe is a little, we'll see, because you just feel a lot of pressure. So, did the first show. It was good, but I definitely wanted to improve for the second show. And then, y'all, the second show was insane. It was so good. And I'm not just saying, like, for me, like, for everybody. The second show was so good. Honestly, the first show was really good, too. Um, but it was just so fun to see like Brian Bates. He was on there for the second show, and he was super funny. Chris Higgins, who we knew, he was on the second show, or he was on Saturday with us. He was super funny, and then we got to meet all these new comedians. Um, I wish I could just like list off every comedian by heart because I want you to know them, but I can't because I don't pay that good of attention. Sorry. Well, I did know their names, but I forget. But shout out to Brent and Carolyn. Brent Blakeney is a comedian, and Carolyn is like a social media wizard. They were there, and we love seeing them. So yeah, second show was amazing, y'all. The crowd was so funny. So I was during my set. It was like there was this guy who was front row. I mean, we we could have high fived right there. And he got up and went to the bathroom and came back. And then he did not mean to. But then a couple minutes later, he like spilled his entire beer on the stage. And then a train went by. I mean, it didn't go through. Like we're all fine. But like it went by so you could hear like the choo choo. And so, I mean, I felt like I was getting curveball after curveball on that show. But I think I did good. I survived. Um, y'all will be able to see the taping sometime soon. Obviously, we have a taping. It takes a while. You got to do it right. You got to edit it, and whatever that means, whatever people do when they edit, you got to like click things and drag them places. It takes a minute. So I don't know when that'll be coming out, but I will keep you posted. For me and John's. So yeah, that was really fun. And then Sunday morning, we got up and we went home. So it was awesome. Honestly, oh, and I got to meet the comedian Etta May for the first time, and she was so fun and sweet. And I remember seeing her little headshot at the Comedy Catch in Chattanooga. And so it was really fun to get to see her, and she's amazing. So, all in all, 10 out of 10. I mean, these are the weekends where you're like, this is what I want to do for my life. I want to be able to do comedy like this every weekend forever. I It's just such a dream come true. And then when your set goes really well, I feel like there is that moment where you're like, maybe I'm actually decent at this. Like maybe this isn't a total pipe dream, or like maybe my friends and family aren't the only ones that think I'm funny. It's just really kind of like an I don't want to say out of body, but like it's just one of those moments where you really pause and you're like, I cannot believe that I get to be in the situation that I'm in. So, very thankful to everyone involved. Thankful for Zanies. Thankful for Onyx Fox. Thank you for the entire staff there. The alley stage, I should have said this earlier. It was filmed at the alley stage in Marietta. And if y'all have not been, it is a great venue for comedy. And that's not always true of those like theaters, like think small playhouse theaters. I've seen it kind of go either way, but the alley stage, so good. And the audience was really there to laugh. So it was awesome. Yeah, so that is what we did this last weekend. So for our next segment, and I know you guys have been looking forward to this, we are going to be talking about my worst bombs slash worst shows. And just to preface, I have a lot of bombs. I started doing comedy in Fargo, North Dakota. Shout out Fargo. And we had like one mic a week. And it was a great little, like, it was great, but just once a week. So it was a lot of like, you just don't get as much stage time. Obviously, it's North Dakota. And so in the beginning, I mean, I'm so glad that nobody had any, like, I'm so glad there's no evidence of that, because I don't think I would be canceled, but I think people would be like, this girl is truly just terrible at comedy. So, very grateful that that is dead and behind me. So, in the beginning, most comedians, you have a lot of bombs. And eventually, you start doing good. Like, you're literally doing bad more than you're doing good. Then eventually, you're doing good more than you're doing bad. Um, and then you get to the point where, like, you're doing good, and then your bombs are like less intense than they used to be. But I do have a couple bombs that were pretty ripe. They were pretty bad. So one of my favorite bombs that I've ever had was when I did a fundraiser show with a bunch of comedians in North Dakota at a it was at a fire station, and it was like just a fully lit fluorescent room, and we were just in the corner, and I'm a clean comedian. I was doing clean comedy. But I made a joke about how the National Guard wouldn't recruit me because 410. And Sweet Man stood up and yelled at me for 2 minutes. And then my set was over. So that was fun and not at all traumatic. So that was a bomb. Another bomb was first time I ever did Zanies, ran my light by 3.5 minutes. I don't know if you know anything about comedy, but I wouldn't do that if I were you. I would maybe not run your light, and definitely don't run it for that long. I mean, that was that was insane. I am truly pleasantly surprised I ever got to do that bit, like got to do that club again. And obviously, we've since come a long way. But yeah, that was pretty bad. And for the record, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm killing. Let me do 3 more minutes. I could have ended 3 minutes earlier, and it would have been fine. So you live and you learn. Okay, but the craziest bomb. Oh, one more. One time I did a show where there was no microphone and no speaker, and it wasn't so much a show as much as it was like a town square where you just stand up at a bar and everyone's like, what are you doing? And then you just start talking, and it was very confusing. And it was outside. So, outside, no microphone, nobody was aware. It was rough. John had a really crazy one where he had to do comedy literally on a street, like for a show, like a walking show, and he just had to like yell his comedy out to the neighborhood as people walked by. Like, I don't know if you know anything about comedy, but it's a sedentary thing. You're supposed to sit there for the whole joke. It's not like a in passing situation where you can like walk by. You're just kind of supposed to stick around, but not these people. So I've had my fair share of rough shows, but the hardest, probably roughest show I've ever done was my dry bar. And I just want to say, dry bar was amazing. They did not ask for this to happen. I did not ask for this to happen. Okay? It was a very, very rough day. So I'm going to tell that story. Okay. Alarm goes off. Morning time. Day of the taping. I wake up feeling so nauseous. And I truly believed, as did all of my family, that it was probably anxiety related. Because I had been really excited and nervous as my first ever taping. I've never taped anything before. So I thought, but I felt like truly sick. So I laid in bed because I was nervous to get up. And at some point, my mom came in and was like, you need to get up and get going. She goes, you'll feel better if you take a walk. I did not feel better. Okay. It got so much worse. I stood up, I walked to the bathroom, and I'll spare you the details, but it was traumatic. It was all bodily fluids that were inside were outside, if you know what I'm saying. I lost my favorite pair of sweatpants that day. So that sucked for me. And now you guys know that, so that sucks for you too. But it was so bad. And you kind of you throw up, you get it all out. And I thought, all right, I got that over with. It literally makes me feel like I can still feel it. Okay, so I get that out of the way. I go, all right, anxiety, done. I'm gonna get in the shower, laugh this off. We're moving, right? I get in the shower, get out of the shower, bodily fluids exit once again. And now I'm thinking, all right, if this is anxiety, this is pretty severe anxiety. And I was like, it's kind of weird that my body is really anxious, but my mind is actually feeling pretty good, aside from the fact that I'm horribly ill. So I called my sweet friend Carolyn, who I mentioned earlier, and she just kind of talked me up. She was like, "You can do this. Anxiety is normal. You're gonna be great. Take some Pepto Bismol, and you'll be good." Well, that Pepto Bismol did not stand a chance. Okay, that Pepto Bismol was like a sailboat, and my stomach was a hurricane. It never stood a chance. But anyway, so then continued to throw up all day, literally all day. Luckily, I have some very, very strong anti-nausea medicine because I need it sometimes. And I'm not addicted. Anyway, so I took one of that, but the thing is that medicine makes you super, super groggy. So I didn't want to take too much because I didn't want to be unconscious for my special because I kind of felt like that would not be ideal. So I took half, and it made me so sleepy, but it did kind of stop me from becoming sick. And then I woke up from my nap, and everyone was like, you gotta go, we gotta get to the venue. So I was so close to quitting. Like, I would have not gone had it not been for my family, John, my sister, and my mom, who flew out there with me, who were like, you can't cancel. And I was like, have you seen me? I cannot do this. But they were like, you got to do it. And John was like, if you're going to cancel, at least cancel at the venue so they can see that you're dying. And if you're going to die, just die there. So we get in the car, And we go to the we're driving to the venue. I'm still throwing up the whole way there. We just stop at the gas station so I can relieve myself. It was very uncomfortable. We were an hour and a half late to the venue. Luckily, the call time was like way before the show, so everything was fine. But literally rolled in an hour and a half late with a puke bucket that was being used to this venue, and I still thought it was like anxiety. Like I was like I didn't even think that I was sick, like with the stomach flu. But that becomes relevant later. So I'm getting my makeup and like touched up, and I'm getting like myself all ready, and I'm literally like sitting. I've been able to sit in a makeup chair once in my life, in those like fun little makeup chairs, and have someone put blush on me and tell me that I'm so cute once. And I couldn't even enjoy it because I was so sick. So I got my bucket and I'm going around to all the things that you have to do, and I'm supposed to be having the time of my life, and I feel like my body is trying to kill me. Finally, we get to showtime. I'm in the green room. They offer me, by the way, Drybar was so sweet. They were like, clearly you are throwing up, so we are going to give you a private space. And I said, no, I want to be in front of everyone. I want to be in front of the other comedians, because I didn't want to be a diva, not even thinking about the fact that maybe they didn't want to watch someone absolutely throw up before their set. So I just sat in the green room and with my lemon water and continued to throw up. Finally, thank the Lord, literally this would not be possible without Jesus. I was able to make it through both 20-minute sets without barfing. And that was a pretty big deal because I was not doing that before. So like they literally had a garbage can in the wings and then on a stool with wet wipes because they're so sweet. And they were like, if you throw up, don't worry, we can edit it out. You can just come back. And I was like, I'm sorry. Do you think that I'm gonna throw up and then come back out here? Because I am not. So, but they were super nice. So I do my set, it goes well. I think adrenaline, and a miracle. And then I get through my second set. And at this point, I go, because I felt so much better, I was like, wow, that was anxiety. And that's crazy because I didn't realize you could have that severe of anxiety about something that I love and do a lot and have never had that level of anxiety before. So I do my show and I'm feeling so good. They offer to buy everyone dinner and I'm stupid and I was like, sure. So I chose to eat something, which is like, that's not what you're supposed to do if you've been puking all day. Is to like eat food that is not sensitive to your tummy at all. So then I whatever, wanted to be part of the group, went back out, did my set, and then went home. And they were like, you can go home early if you want, which was so nice. And I feel like they were like, please go. Um, so went home, slept the whole car ride home basically, got in bed, and threw up 2 more times. And that's when I realized that it was not anxiety, and it was in fact a horrible stomach bug. And then I found out like on Monday morning, because I worked at a daycare at the time, that on Friday, which is the day that I left, like flew out to this taping, which was on a Saturday, like 3 kids got sent home in my classroom for throwing up. So I did my first ever comedy special, totally feeling so sick that I thought I was gonna die. And if I may be so bold, I promise you, you cannot tell. And it's not because I'm killing it. It is because, thank goodness, my comedy is so low energy that turns out you could do it sick and it make no difference. Because that's the level of energy that I bring to the stage. A sick person's energy. All right? But it went good. I was happy with it. And yeah, so that was probably my worst show I've ever done. And hopefully nothing like that will ever happen again. I was nervous about Honest Fox because I was like, I'm not trying to go 2 for 2, but luckily I was fine and everything was fine. So, to the good people of Dry Bar, and I want to put this out. So, to the good people of Dry Bar, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I threw up in your studio and establishment. And thank you so much for the lemon water and the gummy bears and the kindness. And turns out it wasn't anxiety. I'm not crazy. I was horribly sick. And probably not great news for you though, because definitely was contagious. Maybe. But thank you so much for your hospitality. And I again am so deeply sorry. And I wish you the best. And I had fun. Okay. All right. So we're gonna do one more segment. And then we're gonna call it because I feel like I've been talking for a while. All right. The last segment we're gonna do rapid fire. Top 5 favorite comedians. All right. Let's go. Number 1, Nate Bargatze. Easy. Anyone who knows me knows that. Number 1, Nate Bargatze. Number 2, John Mulaney. Honestly, like he's not clean. I mean, he's good, but honestly, he's not made a bad special. John Mulaney. Number 3, I'm gonna go Dusty. I love Dusty's special, and his 5 o'clock somewhere joke and mattress joke. If you haven't heard those, some pretty bomb jokes. 4, I'm gonna say Leanne Morgan. I think that Leanne Morgan is so funny. And Leanne Morgan's awesome because she's funny in her comedy, but then I don't know if you read her audiobook, but I listened to it with her voice and I laughed and I cried and it was the best audiobook. Okay, number 5 is tough. We should put in a little music being like da da da. Number 5, I'm gonna say is probably you know what? Let me change that. Number 1, John Nero. Number 1, John Nero, my husband. He's so funny. And then Nate Bargatze, and then the rest. But he may be in this room right now. But I do love John, so I think that he's definitely in my top 5. But if I were to take him out, honestly, it's hard to pick. I really like Alex Voluto's comedy. He's a Nashville comedian. He's so funny. So, no, Greg Warren. Sorry, Alex. Greg Warren. He's like, those are my top 5 favorite comedians. I feel like I said that was going to be rapid fire, and that felt like the opposite of rapid fire. But Greg Warren talking about peanut butter, Stitches. How can you make peanut butter funny? That man can make peanut butter funny. That's crazy. And he's so funny. So, yeah. Honestly, and you know what? They're kind of in order, but they're not. Because some days I'm really feeling John Mulaney. Some days I'm really feeling Greg. Some days I'm really feeling Dusty. You know? So those are my top 5. And if you don't know some of those comedians, you should check them out. And if you do know them, then you get what I'm saying. So that's our podcast, guys. So that's the show today. We talked all comedy, which I love, and I hope you loved it too. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. All right, goodbye.